Are chiropractors real doctors, and is chiropractics real medicine, therapy? I was pro-chiropractor 100%. I went all the time. I had a girl who was great who used a lot of the physio stuff. She sold her practice to a guy who used brutal force to crack your back. I'm about 114 pounds female with a thin frame, and he dropped all of his body weight onto cracking my back. Snapped one of my ribs in half. After that I obviously never went again. I changed my desk chair and my mattress, and I haven't had any pain since. It's easy to answer. The health benefits of chiropractics have never been demonstrated by scientific studies. Worse, it has been proven that chiropractics can be harmful and cause serious injuries. Nevertheless, some chiropractors also practice some physiotherapy, which has been scientifically validated. No, chiropractors are expensive back poppers. Do you feel good after getting your back popped? Yes. Is it going to solve any health problem whatsoever, including chronic back pain? No. Chiropractic is pseudo-science. There are chiropractors that may perform real physical therapy, but chiropractic is not evidence-based therapy. The founder of chiropractic was Daniel David Palmer. He was a magnet healer and a spiritualist. The inspiration for chiropractic came during a seance from a ghost of someone that had been dead for 50 years. They're not real doctors, and it's not real medicine. They're an alternative treatment provider, and they receive the title doctor due to the founder of chiropractic being friends with influential politicians of his time. This was back in the 19th century when people were not as strict with medical regulations. Originally, the founder, D.D. Palmer, intended to protect himself and other chiropractic practitioners by styling it as a religion, but in the end he managed to get official titles and certificates recognized in the US, and that gives chiropractic its air of legitimacy. I believe most people think they're in the same ballpark as a dentist or radiologist. They actually learn a bunch of stuff as part of their practice that is not recognized by medical science or even biology. I am having trouble digging up exact sources right now about the politician who let them call themselves doctors. But you could probably start with this wiki link. There's plenty of info floating around out there. https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/chiropractic controversy and criticism. Here's an article from a medical journal reflecting on chiropractic. It outright says chiropractic theories aren't accepted by academic medicine. A few paragraphs into the abstract. https://JAMA-network.com/journals/journal/fullarticle/210354. I'm not saying they're a scam, but they pass themselves off as science-based medicine when they are not. And a lot of core theories that inform how they care and treat clients have been studied by actual scientists, and the results either debunk chiropractic or are inconclusive. I'm not saying they can't crack your back and it can't help you feel better, but they are shady in as far as they misrepresent their medical and scientific legitimacy. As a helpful comparison, they don't go to medical school and they don't do a residency. This excludes them as medical doctors, which is what I think you mean as a real doctor. Sure, they are chiropractic doctors, but medical care is not what you get from them. Funny story without an answer for you. I used to be a very high-end wedding photographer. This one wedding was filled with physicians of all kinds. Doctors, surgeons, dentists. I'd guess at least 50% of the guests were. Every single table was incredibly friendly. But the only people who specifically asked that I refer to them as DRS Sonzo were the chiropractors. Lol. There were only like 4 or 5, but they all sat together. Fake doctors. Short answer, no. Long answer, no. I just learned a friend's daughter was left permanently injured by a chiro. He damaged her artery and she has had to relearn walking, talking, and will never be the same. He carried insurance, but after all the expenses she was given less than $500,000 for her pain and suffering. Chiropractors sued for the privilege of calling themselves doctors on antitrust grounds, and somehow won. Medical qualifications were not even considered. I work for a hospital in the pre-auth department, and a lot of times when people have back pain and need MRI, CT scans or need injections for pain relief, their insurances require them to have conservative treatment first, which includes physical therapy and home exercises. It does not include chiropractic care. People always try to argue that when stuff gets denied, but I saw a chiropractor. Popping your back is not medical care and can do more harm than good in some instances. And don't get me started on people who take their newborns to chiropractors. Chiropractors are doctors in the sense that they earn doctorates from chiropractic programs. These programs are not affiliated with accredited medical schools, and they are not medical doctors in any way whatsoever. There is no legitimacy to what they do, and the founder of the practice openly admitted the concept came to him in a dream where he was contacted by a ghost. Chiropractors are quacks. Should be straight illegal. No. Their entire practice is based entirely on ideas about the skeleton that is just plain false. It's no better than getting acupuncture. I went to a chiropractor once. The doctor was nice and showed me some back scan he took of me. He also got me to get special insoles for my shoes since my feet hurt when I ran. All that happened was I often left the place in more pain back-wise than when I came in. He basically snapped my back in different ways. It often hurt when it cracked and then didn't feel better for a little while. And after that, just went back to the normal way it was before I went there. The insoles were a straight gimmick. I noticed absolutely no change for running and just found it more uncomfortable than the foam that was in the shoes before. Also, the new insoles didn't fit as well as the original ones. The new insoles were expensive, as was the $20 copay every time I went, which was 3 times a week for a few weeks. The whole thing was a substantial waste of time and money, and thus, I would not recommend going to a chiropractor. I majored in exercise science in college, and many students used this degree to go on to medical school afterwards. We had someone from a chiropractic school come speak to us once, and the GPA requirement for the school was horrendously low, like maybe even below 3.0. I think the other requirements were hardly even relevant either, such as volunteering and involvement, patient care hours, etc. Basically all I think you had to have was a personal statement and maybe a letter of rec. So basically if you really sucked in college and had no other option, you could go to chiro school. This was only one school, but from what I saw and heard, this was the majority of chiro schools. I originally wanted to go to physical therapy school and did an internship in physical therapy, and everyone warned against chiropractors. They cause many injuries to spinal cords. And many times patients have injuries to hips, for example, but the chiro says just keep coming in, getting adjustments, and it will get better, instead of getting them the care they need. Chiro is a temporary solution that doesn't actually solve the problem, so that the chiro can keep filling their pockets. Physical therapy will strengthen and stretch the muscles so that the pain usually will not return. After a few weeks of treatment, if the at-home plan is followed and weekly chiro adjustments are not needed, Also, the person who invented chiro claims to have been told it by a ghost in a dream or something. I did not work in PT or exercise science after college. But I did work in healthcare, and that view is pretty much widely held in healthcare. Yes, I agree with you that chiropractors are quacks that practice quackery, and they do not practice medicine or therapy. They lie to people and falsely solve their pain issues to fill their pockets. I mean, they do solve their pain, but only for a week, when PT would solve it for a lifetime. Practicing chiropractors carry a doctorate, but that doctorate is very different than a medical doctor. Just like how the history professor or lawyer has a doctorate but is not medically trained. Their training beyond undergraduate is focused on a pseudoscience. You can easily find videos online of the origin of chiropractic. It's a wild ride involving everything from delusional practice to the creator's son killing him with a car. Most things they do are not harmful. Some things they do are dangerous. Don't ever let a chiropractor rapidly manipulate your neck. For perspective, most chiropractors go through undergrad school, then 34 years of their chiropractic training, then go out into practice. As a cardiologist, I went through that undergrad, then 4 years of medical school, then 3 years of intense internal medicine residency, then 3 years of general cardiology, then I spent another year in subspecialty training. It's that postgraduate training where you really learn how to diagnose and treat people. Not in the classroom. I then take care of those people who experience a vertebral artery dissection and stroke after they had their neck adjusted. I'm not here to bash on chiropractors. You should know their whole purpose is to treat every disease the same way with manipulations. It is not disease-focused or based upon science. When they interpret your x-rays, it's absolutely bogus. TLDR, they have a doctorate but are absolutely not the same as going to a doctor with medical training. MD or DO, followed by postgraduate medical training, residency, fellowship. Do not ever let one of them rapidly manipulate your neck, because while rare, the complications include stroke, which is permanent. Chiropractors are the people who failed out of physical therapy school and also believe in MLMs. Chiropractic is based on a spiritual theory that came to someone during a seance. It's pseudoscience. The practice incorporates elements of massage and PT, and a lot of people like the sensation of having their back cracked. But people can be injured when their spine is adjusted, and I wouldn't risk my health going to one.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.